The NFL trade deadline has come and gone. There were some buyers, there were some sellers, and the Green Bay Packers make a brilliant move at the NFL trade deadline that we're going to go over in this video. And sure, the Packers could have made a move for somebody like Sauce Gardner, but you would have had to give up a whole lot. 2 first-round picks were given to go and get a player of this caliber. And the Green Bay Packers, Brian Gutekunst, they already gave up a lot. They already gave up enough to go and get a player like Micah Parsons, who's made a complete difference. And sure, we can make the argument that the Green Bay Packers are sitting here with injuries to Nate Hobbs, injuries to Tucker Kraft, injuries that are on our offensive line. And sure, could we have gone in and given up something for that? The Packers already did. At the beginning of the season, we went and gave up a 6th-round pick to get Kennard. I think that was a great depth piece for Gutekunst and the Green Bay Packers. Sure, is it taking way longer than expected for the Packers offensive line to gel, for Elton Jenkins to look the part at center? Yes. The answer to all of those questions is yes, but the Green Bay Packers make a brilliant move in that they didn't go and do anything. Why did they do that? Why did they not go and get a player like a Sauce Gardner or somebody like that? Well, because there are players available, and Asante Samuel is one of those players that could be a great 1-year lease. And if he pans out, the Packers could extend that. But the Packers are scheduled to work out Asante Samuel. It says right here, and if all goes well, they will seriously look into signing this corner. This would seriously solve all of the issues they have at our D-back position. This would give them some depth there. You're talking about Keyshawn Nixon, Carrington Valentine, and Nate Hobbs is injured, Asante Samuel coming in. This would certainly make the Packers defense look the part that we all want it to look. It absolutely would. I would welcome this signing, and I think the Green Bay Packers not doing anything at the trade deadline spoke volumes as to, hey, listen, we're content with the team we have. We believe in the team we have. And we think adding a piece like Asante Samuel, who just passed some physical protocols, would certainly fit the mold. He wants to play for a Super Bowl caliber type team. That is the Green Bay Packers. Yes, they did not look the part this last week. It was the ugliest game by far we've seen out of them all year, and hope they don't replicate that. But the Green Bay Packers, again, you got Luke Musgrave is the guy. Okay, so when you start talking about, okay, man, the Packers could have traded for a tight end. There was rumors that the Browns could be shopping out Njoku. I'm glad they didn't trade anybody for Njoku, because I'm glad the Packers didn't go and make a move for Njoku, because they went and spent a 2nd-round draft pick in Luke Musgrave. This dude has been injury prone since he's been drafted by the Packers. We've yet to see what this dude is capable of. We've seen glimpses of it at times. He can absolutely fill in perfectly for Tucker Kraft. Now, is he going to do the things Tucker Kraft does? Absolutely not. He certainly does not do what Tucker Kraft does, but you can see right here, Jordan Love, Luke Musgrave connecting. And if the Green Bay Packers can get that going on the checkdowns and all that stuff, absolutely, he is going to fill in amazing for Matt LaFleur's offense. Okay, so let's take a look as it stands right now. Again, you've got the Packers still on top, and I know we have a tendency to push the panic button, especially after such an ugly loss to the Carolina Panthers, who, by the way, are second in their division in the NFC South, 5-4, just behind the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 6-2. But you've got the Green Bay Packers, you can see right there, 5-2-1. The Packers are sitting just fine. Now, the Packers have got to clean up a whole lot of stuff. Okay, so when you take a look at their schedule, you've got the Eagles coming up on Monday night. Now, that's certainly a game that you can't look past as far as like, okay, the Packers are going to lose that one. Let's start looking down the list. No, the Green Bay Packers show up in big moments, and they show up at the big stage. They absolutely do. I think they're going to. They have their issues against teams like the Browns, teams like the Panthers. As you can see right here, you look at their schedule. They started out with the Lions. They beat them 27 They beat the Lions. I'm sorry, 27-13. You got the Washington Commanders that they played right after that, and that now, mind you, the Commanders have struggled, but that's because of the injury to Jaden Daniels that he suffered against the Packers. But they win that one 27-18. That was a convincing win. And then everybody's talking about this team being the Super Bowl caliber team, and then they just lay an egg on the road at the Browns 13-10. They don't show up, and you've got this Jekyll and Hyde Packer team. If you don't know what to expect from week to week, which Packer team is going to show up, then they play the Cowboys 40-40, ends up in a tie. Packers show up against the Bengals 27-18, and then the Cardinals 27-23. And then they go on the road in a big stage with Aaron Rodgers, and Jordan Love has his best performance of his career, probably 35-25 victory on the road. And you're sitting here looking at this Packer team. Again, you're riding the highs and the lows, and everybody's looking at this team saying, okay, this is the team that we thought it was. This is a Super Bowl caliber team. And then they go and lay an egg at home against the Panthers. But they've got the Eagles right now at home, Monday Night Football. The Packers have a chance. What an opportunity to reclaim home field. We've talked about this. The Packers have got to reclaim Lambeau Field and make that a feared place to go and play. They haven't done that. And losing a game like the Carolina Panthers to a guy in Bryce Young who only throws 100 yards and you still lose that game, it's absolutely inexcusable. The Packers have got to correct a lot of things. Their penalties, that keep stalling drives. Their offensive line has got to gel. There's some things that they got to clean up, but adding a piece like Asante Samuel would absolutely clean up some of the nightmare mess that we've seen in their secondary. When you talk about Keyshawn Nixon getting too many penalties and, the injuries that we have, Nate Hobbs hasn't looked the part that we thought he was going to, that the Packer organization thought he was going to look. But getting a piece like Asante Samuel certainly rectifies some of those issues that you have there. I'm not saying he's the answer to everything, but he's certainly, again, when you bring talent into your room and you add depth pieces, iron sharpens iron, and everybody's going to start playing better. Everybody starts playing for their jobs, and it looks different. Everybody starts playing at a different caliber, and I think that's exactly what Asante Samuel would do to this Green Bay Packer team. I want you guys to leave your comments. Are you frustrated that Brian Gutekunst of the Green Bay Packers didn't make a move? I think them doing no moves was absolutely brilliant. They can't afford to give up any more draft picks at this point in time, and they can't afford to really take on any massive contracts at this point in time. The Packers are young. They're the youngest team in the league. They're going to start gelling together. We've been saying that for the last 3 years, that the youngest team in the league, because they're the youngest team in the league. But leave your comments. I want you to know, are you upset or are you happy that the Packers didn't do anything at the trade deadline? I think it's going to pan out for them. Asante Samuel, they're going to work him out. I think he's going to make a great addition. If everything works out great, that was a brilliant move by the Green Bay Packers. Leave your comments, and as always, go Pack Go.